Good evening, everybody tuning in from around the world. If you are looking for Little Harry's bar mitzvah, that's two doors down the left. If you're looking for the story of, you have tuned in to the right place. As always, my name is Manny. You guys know the deal. Joining me is Michael Bouey. Michael, how are you this evening?
Grand spectacular. How are
You
you?
sound you sound good. You sound good. I'm glad to hear it. You don't look too good though. I don't know if that's just you being sickly or just something else, but you sound good, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have you here so you can tell us a little bit more about the story of Michael Bowie. Now, for those of you that have been following us, man, from episode 1, season 2, of course, the season is dedicated to the one and only Michael Bowie. You must know by now we are here to talk about his journey in the entertainment industry, which is not an easy journey for anyone. Me in particular, I've never ventured into that journey. I'm sure lots of people watching this um, probably have. So stick around to find out a little bit more about the story of Michael Bowie in the entertainment industry. Last week we left off at a very uh, how would you call it, tense spot. We were just talking about the good times that Michael had in California. If you haven't already, go watch that episode. But today, this week, we are here to talk about, to listen to Michael tell us a little bit about sort of the downside of Cali, the downside of his experiences in Cali. So to begin, Michael, my first question for you would be for you to tell us a little bit just about the low points of your experience in Cali. What were some of the low points in California for you?
Well, I could give you the long version, but with you, I'd rather give you the short version.
We got
Um,
time. We got time, and I look good on camera, so go ahead, take your time.
yeah, well, the short version is also just a jab at your height, just for for your earlier jab. But yeah, no, I completely agree that it wasn't all red roses and daisies. I was there for 9 months, and obviously I came back, and that's the burning question, the climatic um, point of the story that people want to know is why am I back
Yes,
here? And
yes.
you know. Uh, I went into a lot of detail to kind of talk about me being on all these movies and TV shows and commercials and everything while out there, Greek and
Hmm.
Billy Blank's Typo video, NCIS, CSI New York, Miami, all the some of the greats, Bones, Ugly Betty, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I mean, I can go on and on of all the things and opportunities. But before I even had got to that point, there was a low point because I before I was even working with Central Casting, I couldn't find a job. I mean, I was there several weeks, maybe even a month or two, where with a very limited amount of money, I literally spent it all. While trying to avoid scam artists and to eat, you have to eat to live.
Yeah.
I mean, to drive, gas money to drive all around to try and find all these places and everything. Um, money depleted very quickly, and it got to the point where I had $5 to my name, and I had said, hey, if I don't find anything by Monday, I was going to sign with Vixen Productions, which is a porn company in downtown LA. And
That,
it's to me, it's not a big deal to me. Entertainment is entertainment. Whatever way you get into it is however you get into it. Little do people know that Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta actually did porn too inside of their life. So you don't really know, and you really don't know what you'll do until you get to that point of lowness. Having $5 to your name, willing to sign with a porn company, and eating one meal a day to try and save on money was the life, while sleeping on the floor and couch of some family friends living room for quite some
yeah.
time. Um, that was one of the very low points in my life. But the bigger low point, I think, came a few months in. After working on all these different movies and TV shows, it led to a point where they had this thing called the writer's strike.
Okay.
And if anybody doesn't know what that is, or whatnot, I mean, it happened back in about 2006, and it's basically no different than anybody else going on strike. They're unhappy about treatment in the workplace. Money is usually the biggest thing, and that's what the case was here. Writers felt like they needed to make more money for the amount of work that they were doing, and so they all went on strike and refused to write. And many of those shows, almost damn near every show you can think of, has a writer. So when you lose a writer, you have to improv your entire show, and you risk chaos. That's why they have writers, and then all the things that are said that are on teleprompters. Um, or even just stories, movies. Just writers in general weren't doing anything, and shows were getting canceled left and right. I mean, I was working 6, 7 days a week on different things, and it went down to a point where I was working maybe one day if I was lucky.
So you were strictly just doing writing. You weren't doing any acting, any sort of
The writing didn't have anything to do with me. That was them. I was an actor, but because the writers went on strike for all these different things, I was working on the movies. But I can't
Okay,
work on these movies and TV shows if they don't have writers.
true. Yeah.
So
Right.
when the writers went on strike and stopped working, then that affected me as an actor because now I couldn't go on any shows. Nobody could work.
Hmm.
Very limited shows progressed on, and for something that we thought would last maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a
Hmm.
month or two, lasted 11 months.
God damn.
Now I was only there for 9 months, so obviously I came back at some point. um,
Hmm.
the point that I came back is when I had kind of talked with the people I was staying with, and it was never negotiated like how long I would be there.
And you never, I don't want to cut you off, but you never sort of thought to yourself, I mean, yeah, you just mentioned about how you guys thought, not we, but you guys thought it would last maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. But you never thought to yourself, like, hey, you know what? Even if this goes on for a whole year, damn near that's what it went for. I'm still gonna, sort of wait it out, and I'll just stay in Cali for whatever it is as a starving artist, eating in and out every day or ramen noodles every day, and just finding gigs here and there, working. I don't know, in the restaurant industry, maybe even. You,
That
you didn't that didn't go through your mind.
that's a great question, and it did go through my mind. A month, 2 months, 3 months in, I stuck it out. I started picking up and working more shifts at Red Robin, and but Red Robin working there, even though it's better money, down there than it would be here because the cost of living is higher down there. It
Hmm.
wasn't something I was happy. I didn't travel across the whole fucking world to go back and work at Red Robin just down there.
Sure.
Granted, to stick it out, whatever.
Hmm.
Maybe I could have went to do porn, but I was at a point where depression hit from everything that was going on, sadness and everything else. Like I didn't know what I was going to do, and Red Robin working there was not the case. And California has the highest homeless rate. I mean, when I would go to California, I would see homeless people all the time. It was prevalent, like Hawaii, or not prevalent, but it was notorious to
Okay.
in common to see, just like you would see in like Hawaii. And I didn't want that to be my life. And before I even went out there, I said, you know what? If I was homeless, I'm gonna make it or die trying. Like that was my motto. I specifically said I didn't care if I was homeless, and I would make it or die trying. I would never come back. Those were things that I promised myself I would never do.
Okay. And yeah, we're going to talk about why did you? We're going to talk about that in a little bit, moving forward. But I want to ask you. You just mentioned a really good point that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about and probably have gone through the same thing, whether they are um, artists trying to make it in the entertainment industry, whatever they are, the people watching at home, I'm sure they're wondering. You mentioned you went through a sort of a phase, a point in your life during this low point of depression, sadness. I'm sure maybe even some anxiety. How did you deal with all of that? You're broke, you have no job. How did you maintain a positive attitude? I'm sure you didn't just, give up the very first day. So how did you maintain a positive attitude to this depression, sadness, and like I said, maybe some anxiety?
Well, I mean, I did have a job. I still was at Red Robin. I went from working one day to a couple of days, but my happiness did not come from there. I mean, I was
Right.
working one day a week when I was doing the movies and TV shows, and even then, I wasn't happy working the one day a week. It was
Right.
just like, hey, if I wanted a break or wanted to make some extra cash, I could still work that and be it would be sufficient for me, so I can do what I still love doing.
Right.
To answer your question on how I dealt with it, I mean, the answer is I came back. Um,
Mm.
I ran every scenario. I can't say that I really dealt with it. I just thought on it. Life is life. You can't stop it. So I mean, deal with it. That's the only option that one has is to deal with what is going on. And you know, the thing is that in my entire life, however old I am, how many years I've been on this planet, that a writer strike in general, has only happened that one time for that
Damn.
11 months. I've never ever heard, seen to that, at least to that capacity, of maybe like a small writing company or whatnot said they were going to go on strike. Nothing to this magnitude where it was the entire writers organization
Mm.
where they decided to stop in my entire life. So it was almost like I went out there at the wrong point in my life because I can't even imagine where I would be if they didn't. Things were going good to be on all these movies and TV shows. I may not have made it as fast to the point that I needed to and got the SAG vouchers like my friend did in his first few months. But even he was struggling because he made it to like being a stand-in and everything else, and he couldn't even work anymore. So
Mhm.
he kind of gave up, and he may have went back to Costco. I don't know what he did, and I gave up.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask, but what about you? You just said this is probably like the only time in history where something like that has happened, a writer's strike, and probably the biggest spot, the biggest market for the entertainment industry, California, Hollywood. So, and we'll get to this in a little bit. When you came back to Michigan, where you are now, and you saw all of this happen, and you start, getting back into the rhythm of things in Michigan, and you see that, hey, this is like the only fucking time this has happened in the entertainment industry, a writer strike. How do you maintain that positivity to, like, what, let me just keep doing what I'm doing even if I'm over here? How did you maintain that positivity to continue on your path as an entertainer?
well, just to back up a little bit, to
Mhm.
further the explanation on why I came back, the person I was staying with, it was never negotiated how long I would be there.
Right.
And she was like, hey, like, when are you leaving? Are you going to get your own place? Yada, yada, yada. I had already been there for 8, 9 months.
Right.
So, who let somebody stay with them for 8 or 9 months rent free, and then asks them that question when shit is really going bad? I didn't want to be a burden in their life, and I wasn't going to work Red Robin to pay. I don't even think it was accepted for me to pay to stay there. She wanted her own space. I understood that. It was, like I said, it was a two-bedroom apartment, and I needed to give that. And it was either go and figure things out to where you can have your own place and stay down there through all this madness, not knowing if the writer strike was going to ever come back or if this was the end of the movie industry. No one's a fortune teller to know that kind of stuff. Um,
Right.
so that ultimately was the deciding factor. Do I want to be homeless? Do I want to go to the bottom of the list of or bottom of the bucket? I'd already been sleeping out of my car some nights and eating one meal, and I've already lost my money. I already was doing, had the interest of doing porn. Everything that you could possibly imagine. I had already gone through being scammed and being shit on by shitty people inside of California. Do I really want to make it worse? Like, if things
Mhm.
were going good, maybe I'll try and figure it out. But it was almost like going 5 steps forward and then 20 steps backwards. So I drove back. And so to now answer your question, coming back, I moved back. I said, you know what, I'll come back and figure it out. And if the wind blows me back to California or somewhere else, it just wasn't meant to be. And we'll see where the next path takes me. And I came back to Michigan, and I can't tell you how disappointed in myself I was because I said I would never come back. I would be homeless. I would make it or die trying.
Right.
Um, and granted, and I don't want to get further into the story. I do want to save this for the last episode on how things panned out when I got back here.
Yeah.
But I will say that that disappointment, I can't even describe in words. And to this day, looking back on it, I feel like a failure because so
Mm.
many people I told I wasn't going to come back, and now I'm a liar. I told people that I would make it or die trying, and I gave in at the very glint of possibility of being homeless or struggling a little bit. Why? Why? You asked me why I didn't stick it out. I asked me why I didn't stick it out. But granted, when I get into telling you about how things panned out here, would
Hmm.
any of that stuff be possible if I didn't come back? So many
Right.
questions run through my
Yeah.
mind. So many times people ask me if I'll ever go back. To this day, even now, industry's been booming. Would I go back?
Mhm. Yeah, and that's something we can definitely touch base on in the next episode. We're not quite done here just yet. So I want to take a second and sort of backtrack a little bit because you mentioned, you know, the ultimate reason for you leaving California was sort of that ultimatum that family friend put on you, right? About when are you gonna get your own space? When are you gonna sort of become independent out here, right? And you also mentioned sort of shitty experiences and some shitty people out in California. Would you care to tell us maybe one or two stories about some of the shitty people you met in the industry in California?
Well, I told you about the one company that tried to scam me out of $500 or $1,000, whatever it was, and I ended up taking all my money out of my account to prevent that. I had the friend of my sister's who kind of shit on me in my resume. California is notorious for homosexual people, gay people out there. I
Yeah.
didn't really know that. I was on the set of ER, and I had an older man. Maybe when I was there, I was like 21, 22. This guy had to be like 50, 55, and he was trying to get me to come back to his place to do a photo shoot. And I believe he wanted me to do like an underwear photo shoot, and I'm just like, what does that have to do with acting? And it's just
Mm.
a creepy old man in general. Like, you just have to be careful because whereas he says he does photography and everything else, I'm in a different state and I'm in a different area. I don't really know what's going on and what to expect.
Yeah.
I avoided him like the plague. Um, and then even came across another guy who told me he was a drug dealer and that he had cocaine in a locker hidden away at the airport. And then he was asking me some weird questions like the size of my you know what, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
have I ever
Keep it.
seen my sister naked and stuff, just really weird questions.
Yeah. Keep
And
it peace.
so to excuse myself, because he sat down at lunchtime where I was to kind of talk with me, and then
Mhm.
I just excused myself and went to the bathroom. He like followed me there and like waited outside the bathroom for me.
No shit.
So it's not even just about the homosexual thing. I'm comfortable with my sexuality, but
No.
when you are put inside of a situation where you feel unsafe,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
different than the scam artist where you feel like you're being used.
Okay.
And I didn't put myself in these situations where I could have been abused, but it's possible. Not just California, anywhere, but even more so inside of an environment that I don't know. I don't know the people. I don't know the area. I don't know the do's and the don'ts. Anything could go wrong.
Yeah. Most definitely. Damn, that's really scary because that's a whole nother level. You know, you like you said, it's almost like that instance of you being scammed out of money. You're being used in that instance, but you know, money comes and goes as we've learned through your story. But you were in real danger. You know, again, it's nothing against just someone's sexuality, but you don't even know what some of these people's intentions are.
Intentions.
And
That's the bigger part is intentions. Whether it's money, whether it's sex, whether it's they're just mentally unstable.
mhm, yeah.
And that's the problem with anybody. Yeah, I stress to anybody that goes out there is don't fall for anything, because you fall for anything, you will fall for everything. And people, if they have bad intentions, and just because you have good intentions and want to make it to the top, I mean, that's why you have your Harvey Weinsteins and
Hmm.
whoever else. I mean, I don't want to throw too many names under the
No.
bus of celebrities, but you
Yeah.
know, a lot of them are like, okay, well, if you have sex, you blah blah blah, you can get you in the industry. If you do this, if you do that, if you give me this amount of money, if you, I don't know what extent they'll go to. I don't know what everyone's intentions are, but anybody would do anything for a dream. I mean, I had a gig that came up when I was working with Central Casting. They were looking for a guy that only had one leg. I said, I will cut off my other fucking leg right now for this gig. It was 1,500 a day. I was like, God, that literally will put me in a good spot. Yeah, I'll be out of leg, but I will hop wherever the fuck I need to go. That
Now, when you say that would put you in a good spot, did you mean a handicap spot or
hey,
what?
hey, a handicap spot while I'm making it rain. I don't give a damn.
Lord,
Shoot. That's actually
Lord.
even better. I'd be pissed I can't park in them handicap spots. Now I can, and I'm making cheddar. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, all right. Well, let's get back on track. We definitely want to hear the rest of this story, man, because there's a lot still left in store in the story of Michael Bouey. So and this to close out this episode. I'm reminded of a quote you said in one of the very first episodes. If you guys, the viewers, haven't already, make sure you go check out some of the first episodes, season two, the story of Michael Bouey. And you briefly said, and I don't know if you remember this, you said this industry is about who you know and who you blow. And it's I might have butchered that a little bit, but
It's
I'm
or
sure.
who you know or who you blow, because it could
Yeah,
be either or.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So this episode just really reminds me of that, and you're a living testament to that. I'm glad to see and to hear again your testimony and how you were able to keep your composure and really what you hold true to yourself as an actor and as a human being first and foremost. So thank you for sharing that with us, Michael. Is there anything you want to leave the viewers with this episode?
I can try and pinpoint a lot, and I think I've already said it about not falling for
Right.
everything. A dream is a dream, and you can chase it. And in all honesty, maybe I went back to old 55-year-old man's house, and maybe it wasn't what I thought it would be, and maybe that would have helped my career. Maybe I would have been raped or killed. Um, I don't really know, but it's
Okay.
almost contradictory, because I say to in one of the episodes, I say, hey, you have to take risks, you have to put yourself out there, because you never know where you can go, where it will lead you.
Hmm.
But you also have to trust your instincts. And you have to ask yourself, am I putting myself in harm's way? So I think from this episode, that's the message I want to lead to people. It may sound contradictory, but yes, you do have to take risks. You do have to put yourself out there, but you also have to be careful. Your intentions are different than anybody else's intentions. Your wants and desires are different than anybody else's wants and desires. If you want that dream, you can still chase it, but chase it safely.
Perfect. I like it. That's a great way to end. To all of our viewers at home, thank you for tuning in to another successful episode of the story of Michael Bowie. Join us next week to find out how his story moving forward unravels. There's like I said, there's still a lot more in store for the story of Michael Bowie. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, and make sure you comment. Again, if you guys are at home wondering how did Michael get through this? How did he make it through that? Or if you just want to share your experience, make sure you leave a comment. For all of you guys watching live, have a good night. For all of you guys watching this at another time, have a great day. This is Manny and Michael tuning out. Thank you.